Hi everyone, welcome to episode 15 of All In, the Fleischman Center's Alumni Live Lunch interviews. Today we will be chatting with Kyle Lawrence, who graduated in 2019 with a degree in mathematics and then again in 2020 with his MBA. My name is Cassie, I work in the Fleischman Center, and I will be your host today, chatting with Kyle. So we're excited to get him in here in just a second. Feel free to put any questions that you have either in the comments or you can use the questions feature as well. And we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. So we will get Kyle in just a second and then we'll get going with our interview. Awesome. Again, Kyle graduated in 2019 and 2020, and there he is. Hi, Kyle.
Hello, how's it going?
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, thanks for joining us today. I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. So can you start by telling everyone a little bit about yourself and your Binghamton experience?
Sure. So basically my Binghamton experience, I came in not really sure what I wanted to do. I started with math just because it was what I was good at. But I realized that there are many things that you can do with math. So I stayed with it and figured out that I could go on to get a graduate degree from Binghamton that will take my math experience and actually, move me towards where I wanted to go in a business world.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, like other than academics, I started with the Fleischman Center as an intern when I was a freshman. And then ended up taking on a few different roles in the Fleischman Center through my 5 years, and ended up as a graduate assistant in my 5th year. And then also another extracurricular activity I did was play on the club ice hockey team. And that helped me a lot with, giving me a lot of responsibility and administrative work to do a little bit more each year. So that's just a little bit about what I did at Binghamton.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. And you're in a little bit of a unique situation right now. Of course, you graduated in a very strange time in our world and with a job offer. But can you tell anyone watching kind of what that experience has been like and how you're kind of navigating right now?
Yeah, sure. So back in November, I got my job offer. And as the school year progressed, I decided on a September 8th starting date. And then once the world of COVID came around, my start date was actually moved from early September to late January. So I was given about 5 extra months of downtime.
Yeah.
So with that downtime, I thought it was just going to be like, great, more summer. But it does have some certain effects that I didn't see coming. Where in the beginning it was like fine, I was just having fun working on some hobbies, and it was nice to have some more time, but as the weeks went on, I started to kind of want to work. I just wanted to start. So there was times here and there where your motivation can kind of slip away, so you have to figure out how to keep it going. So in my situation, I have been doing 2 things that kind of keep me interested and motivated to get up every day and keep doing my life. So one of them is I've been working on a hobby. I've been playing golf like all summer. And I think that's important because you can't just dedicate yourself to be doing, academics or work 24/7, especially when you're not working yet. So it gives me the opportunity to take advantage of the time I have left, have some fun with it, but also, just become better at a hobby or just enjoy it. And then also, with such a big gap between me being out of school and starting my job, I need to at least keep my mind sharp a little bit. So one thing I've been doing is tutoring students from middle school up to senior level high school in all different math courses. Specifically, the ones that kind of keep me sharp is I have a group of AP Calculus students. So with them, every week I'm kind of forced to kind of relearn some stuff myself. go back into the books and, just learn their topics, make sure I'm ready to help them out. So that, that on top of my hobbies kind of helps my mind keep working, so that once I get to work in January, I'm not flat-footed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great example of how, like you said, you're taking advantage of the time, as you should. It is a unique opportunity to be able to play golf every day, or, whatever that
Yeah.
thing is for someone. But a really good example of how you can find other avenues to continue to gain skills and keep your mind sharp, like you said. So thank you for sharing that. Do you have advice for other students or recent grads who might be navigating this time of accepting job offers but not knowing when they'll start, or kind of going through some of those similar challenges?
Yeah, sure. So I could speak from, my own personal experience. Also those experiences of my friends right now, because all of my friends are in very different, walks of life in terms of their job search. So a few of us have accepted jobs way back, and the dates got, substantially moved. And all of us have kind of attacked the situation the same way, just, taking on new hobbies, just trying to read up on, specific businesses and things that might relate to, to our jobs to keep us sharp. And then there's also a lot of friends that are still looking for jobs. And one thing that they've been experiencing is just that it's a little different than the normal job search. There's not as much communication sometimes, because there's just, a lot of different variables being thrown at these employers as COVID evolves. So I would say to take it on with a lot of patience, just because, there's a lot of ambiguity. There's not a lot of definites or deadlines really, as much as there normally would be. But also, as much as you can be patient, you also need to be a little persistent. And, sometimes don't be afraid to reach out to the employer again, or follow up a second time, just to let them know that you're still there, you're still looking. And most importantly, you're still interested. I know some people that kind of feel like they got maybe ignored, or, put to the back of the line in certain situations, but really they didn't. It's just a lot is going on right now. So some things can get lost in the mix. So I think persistency is like one of the top 3 things that needs to be going on. And like I said, like following up, the world is busy right now. So for an employer to hear back from a potential candidate, that can remind them of what's going on and maybe add that to their to-do list. And then also is one thing I wrote down was talk to everyone you know. So like, there are a lot of kids that I know that, you suggest that they talk to a specific person or a specific group about their job search. And some of them are saying, well, why would I do that? They're not in what I want to do. Right. But everybody knows their certain network and a certain amount of people. So I think it would help just to talk to whoever you want to, and they can kind of lead you in a direction with their connections and their network.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I love that you've kind of gone the direction of networking and communication, because it is so important, especially right now. And that leads right into my next question for you about how you're staying connected with your company as, again, your date got pushed and you're kind of in this like waiting zone.
Yeah. At first I was unsure of how it was going to happen, how we would stay connected. But pretty much right away, we had like a group chat start of all of the Binghamton hires at Deloitte, which was basically made just because everyone was a little confused and wanted to know like when everyone was starting and who got pushed, who didn't, who's starting now, who's in person, virtual. But as that progressed, it just became more of like us chatting once in a while, asking questions about how it is so far. For, like kids like me that didn't start yet, we want to know how it is for the kids that already started. So we keep in contact once in a while through there. So that helps at least meet coworkers.
Yeah.
And then also, you know, our um, our recruiter, our recruiter, she's great. She reaches out to us, every week or two, just to give us some sort of updates on what the company's up to, and not even specifically things that are part of our job, just things that help us understand what Deloitte is doing, not only for COVID and their change there, but also social issues, and just how the world's working.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps us just keep an idea of what our company is doing while we're not there and
Yeah.
also not at school. So it helps to hear about what they're doing. It kind of makes you still feel a part of it, which really helps because I think sometimes having the job ready but not being there yet, it kind of makes you feel a little bored, and like you might kind of lose sight of the fact that I'm still part of Team Deloitte.
Yeah.
Although I'm not in there actually working yet, I'm still a part of the team, so that it's good that they keep in contact, because I think especially during this time, it's very easy to lose track of who your team is.
Yeah.
So I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think, it shows a good example of how there really are responsibilities on both sides. You could like set that group chat to not give you any notifications and not engage in it. But the benefit of, taking that step and using the technology that we have can help with all of those things. So I think that's some great advice. We had a lot of questions come in through our Instagram story about Deloitte specifically, the company, the interview process. And so I know potentially a little tricky. You haven't technically started with them.
Yeah.
But could you provide some general information about why you are interested in working with Deloitte and any interview tips or advice that you have for students?
Okay. So my interest in Deloitte specifically came around Career Week of last fall. So when I went to a few of their info sessions, a lot of the information they gave us had to do with technology as a brand new wave, or not brand new, but a big wave coming through the business world, and how they're leveraging technology to do what they do. And that really sparked my interest. I think it's a good way to mix my interests with my skill set. And really just the personnel that were there at those sessions, they really sold the company to me. They were very cool. They seemed to kind of mesh with what I wanted to be a part of.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got my interest in Deloitte specifically. And then the interview process, it was very, very tough just because I hadn't done it before. But it was just a lot of networking. I would say networking was more than actual interviews. So we had networking opportunities at all the Career Week events. And then after that, I had secured an interview, and the interviews were more to sell my skill set rather than, my exact grades or anything like that. It was more to see how I would mesh with their goals, rather than just looking down my transcript or anything like that, which I think helps a lot for students to know that sometimes, working on your personal skills and communication skills and things like that can go a long way in interviews like that. But also, I think some tips to know for, interviewing for companies like Deloitte, kind of, just keeping your personal level as high as you can. Just make sure that, you're social, you're talkative, and you're letting yourself come out, and that you're not focusing too much on, what's on your resume. You don't want to be just straight reading off of it. You want to be a person that can kind of tell the story without looking at the paper. And I think that kind of conversation and social aspect of you can go a long way.
Good. Awesome. And then my second to last question for you
Mhm.
is just, again, kind of thinking about your experience all the way through Binghamton, even this experience kind of navigating the job search in uncertain and strange times. Do you have any like final pieces of advice for students who are in it right now and kind of navigating their college experience?
Yeah. I would say for students that are starting their college experience and are in it, I would just say get involved in things that you're interested in. Does not have to be things that are directly related to what you want to do. Um, so, for example, when I came to Binghamton and Miss Erin Cody, one of my professors, had me come in to interview for a Fleischman internship. Um, in my head, I was a little against it because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Um, you know, I just hadn't anticipated doing something like that.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be one of the better decisions I made. It kind of helped grow a lot of the skills that got me to where I am now. Helping with communication skills, work ethic, things like that. Um, and then also when I joined club hockey, that was more out of just my athletic interests. I wanted to play a sport while I was at school. But in reality, that became one of the bigger talking points in my interviews because it gave me the opportunity to, work on scheduling with other groups and other college teams. A lot of administrative work, leadership skills, things like that, that actually went hand in hand with the Fleischman Center, that experience that I have. They kind of both went a long way, more than like some of my math classes did and things like that. So I would say get involved in things because even if they don't seem like they're going to help, they're definitely going to help. They give you opportunities to, take on roles and different experiences that'll definitely help you in the long run.
Awesome. And then my last question, we always wrap up with a food related question. So you haven't been in Binghamton in a couple months at least, but if you could get takeout today from anywhere in the Binghamton area, where would you go and what would you get?
I would get a buffalo chicken cheesesteak from the Colonial.
All right. You heard it here first, everyone. That's Kyle's takeout order. Kyle, thanks so much for joining me today. It was so great to chat with you, and I can't wait to maybe circle back for a part 2 once you've actually started at Deloitte.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a good one.
Yep, you too.
Bye.